While they project an image of immense wealth, the financial reality for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry is far more precarious than it appears. Insiders are now confirming that their money troubles are not merely gossip, but a rapidly escalating crisis. On the surface, it's all grand estates, high-profile interviews, and those much-touted Netflix deals. However, a closer examination reveals that the figures simply don't align with their extravagant lifestyle. American Riviera Orchard, a faltering debut. Consider Meghan's widely publicized lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard. Critics have, fittingly, dubbed it as never. What began with a glossy promotional video and a tantalizing product sneak peek has seemingly evaporated. There have been no restocks, no subsequent releases, just stark silence, with whispers that nothing substantial will materialize until next year, if at all. This isn't a strategic pause. It's what happens when a sold-out brand initially offered only a paltry few hundred items. The aspiration of transforming this venture into a billion-dollar enterprise appears to have imploded on launch. According to royal commentator Lady Colin Campbell, Meghan and Harry significantly overestimated both their capabilities and the substantial financial demands of such a project. Their alleged plan involved Netflix underwriting the brand through their existing content agreement, with Meghan anticipating a co-partnership where Netflix covered costs, while she simply lent her name to jars of jam. Yet Netflix, a company far too astute for such an arrangement, reportedly financed only enough for a minuscule initial production run. This explains how Meghan could claim everything sold out in 45 minutes. There was barely anything to sell in the first place. It was a desperate marketing ploy, an attempt to spin failure as a triumph. Now, sources suggest she has halted the project, realizing no significant revenue was forthcoming. Unsustainable spending and dwindling inheritances, the situation continues to deteriorate. Meghan and Harry have been spending as if they possess fortunes akin to Jeff Bezos, when in fact, their actual wealth is likely a mere fraction of that. Even with the proceeds from Harry's memoir, Spare, he is far from genuinely rich. While the book generated considerable headlines, it was also heavily discounted. Publishers like Penguin Random House reportedly incurred losses simply to maintain appearances, constructing a narrative of overwhelming success. Harry undoubtedly received a payment, but it was hardly a transformative sum in the context of billionaire-level wealth. The sheer expense of their lifestyle, encompassing private security, opulent real estate, a large staff, and continuous luxury travel, is astronomical. With their primary deals either concluding or undergoing severe revisions, it seems they've resorted to drawing upon inherited funds from Princess Diana and even the Queen Mother. When legacy wealth is being depleted simply to uphold an image, it signals a dire financial state. Lady C asserts they've been quietly eroding their capital for some time, just to cover expenses. The widespread misconception that Harry possessed an inexhaustible royal fortune merely because he is the king's son is grossly inaccurate. By American standards of affluence, he is not even close. Indeed, if they were ordinary celebrities, unburdened by royal ties, their financial conduct would likely be deemed utterly reckless. A risky leap into fashion and manufactured public perception, Meghan is now attempting another desperate shift, this time venturing into fashion. However, insiders are already questioning the feasibility of this endeavor. Launching a credible fashion line is incredibly costly, demanding substantial investments in production, distribution, and marketing. Without committing tens of millions of personal capital or securing a major brand licensing deal, it almost invariably proves to be a losing proposition. One only needs to look at Victoria Beckham, whose fashion empire required years and David's considerable wealth to even approach. Profitability. Meghan might be relying on her name recognition, but a name alone is insufficient when public trust has eroded. Many observed the controversies surrounding the Queen, Prince Philip, and even Meghan's own father, leading to a significant loss of goodwill. This leads to their increasingly transparent public relations maneuvers. When public trust wanes, there's a scramble to restore it, even if it involves fabricating a heartwarming moment at 30,000 feet. A flight attendant on an American Airlines flight posted a TikTok claiming she served Meghan Markle. The attendant was visibly delighted, clutching a handwritten note from the Duchess, effusing about Meghan's nails, her vibe, and her rich handwriting. The video quickly went viral, captivating viewers, yet, behind the scenes, it bore the hallmarks of manufactured PR. The airline industry maintains strict policies. Flight attendants are simply not permitted to post about celebrity passengers without explicit authorization, particularly when personal notes are involved. Had this been any other celebrity, the airline would have intervened, removed the video, and potentially suspended the employee. However, nothing occurred. No official statement, no reprimand, just silence, which is precisely why so many suspect it was orchestrated from the outset. Furthermore, the timing is curious. Around the same time this TikTok emerged, other, less favorable accounts began to surface, detailing how Meghan allegedly treated flight crews on previous journeys with an air of entitlement and condescension. What better way to counteract that narrative than with a smiling, adoring crew member publicly extolling her for being sweet and writing cute little notes? It's a classic media strategy. Bury negative press with a heartwarming diversion, the widening financial chasms. However, distractions offer limited respite when financial fissures are expanding into gaping chasms. Meghan's recent foray into fashion is not merely a creative shift, it's a desperate financial gamble. She is not a designer, nor does she possess a background in fashion. Unlike Victoria Beckham or Rihanna, she is not entering this sphere with a distinct brand identity or established credibility. Worse still, insiders claim she attempted to strong-arm her way onto a major Vogue cover. That's right, she allegedly confronted Anna Wintour herself, demanding a global front-page feature, not just for herself, but reportedly at the expense of Serena Williams, her steadfast A-list friend. The story alleges that Meghan tried to have Serena removed from the cover to secure her solo moment. If accurate, this constitutes one of the most egregious betrayals imaginable, and it spectacularly backfired. The irrefutable truth is, one does not challenge Anna Wintour and emerge unscathed. Wintour meticulously built her fashion media empire through decades of uncompromising precision. Meghan, lacking any fashion credentials, attempting to dictate terms, was akin to a novice actor trying to rewrite a Scorsese screenplay. Now, with the Vogue deal reportedly defunct, Meghan's aspirations for a headline-grabbing fashion launch are dissipating. Without that level of exposure, her collection, if it ever materializes, would be forced to compete in a brutal market with no guaranteed audience and zero goodwill. And unless she is prepared to invest millions of her own rapidly, diminishing capital, she will likely be compelled into licensing agreements. This means her name would be affixed to clothing designed, manufactured, and controlled by others, while she receives a minuscule cut. Even in the most optimistic scenario, we're talking 3 to 5% royalties, perhaps 10 if she negotiates aggressively. But there is no path to billionaire status there. No empire, just a brand that might limp along with a few fleeting headlines and a mountain of expenditures. The unforgiving reality. No more bailouts. And that is the larger, terrifying concern. Meghan and Harry simply cannot afford any more financial missteps. Sources indicate that King Charles has drawn a firm boundary. No more bailouts, no more financial assistance. Should Harry return seeking aid, he will be met with silence. It's not personal. It's a matter of policy. Charles was unyielding with Prince Andrew, and he is unlikely to soften his stance now, especially as the royal brand desperately strives to re-establish its credibility. Beneath the meticulously curated glamour and polished images, the numbers paint a stark, unforgiving picture. Their current lifestyle demands hundreds of millions in capital. They possess barely a tenth of that amount. The question is no longer whether Meghan's new ventures will succeed, but whether they can withstand even one more failure. The truly alarming aspect for Meghan and Harry isn't merely the public backlash or the succession of failed business ventures. It's the unforgiving arithmetic. Their Montecito life appears to be a billionaire's fantasy. Private security teams, sprawling estates, endless luxury travel, PR consultants, stylists, and ongoing legal battles. However, their actual income is nowhere near what's required to sustain such an empire. Harry may have earned a respectable sum from Spare, but publishing insiders suggest the figures are not as favorable as they initially seemed. The book was heavily discounted from its release, resulting in reduced royalties, diminished publisher profits, and considerable quiet anxiety at Penguin Random House. Yes, Harry received his payment, but it was not the massive windfall they undoubtedly anticipated. Once taxes, agents, lawyers, and the crippling cost of their lavish lifestyle are factored in, that money is a mere drop in a rapidly draining bucket. The inherited funds from Princess Diana and the Queen Mother are reportedly functioning as a lifeline, keeping things afloat. That is not passive income. That is capital. And once it's expended, it's gone permanently. Their spending habits suggest a lack of a long-term strategy for building sustainable wealth. It's as if they believed their fame alone would perpetually open doors. But Hollywood does not operate on fairy tales. It operates on performance, and their recent performance has been less than stellar. The Netflix deal was their golden ticket, a $100 million partnership announced with much fanfare. Yet, behind the scenes, insiders indicate that Netflix was cautious from the outset. The streaming giant reportedly limited its investment in Meghan's American Riviera Orchard because they recognize the inherent risks. Netflix is a business. It does not gamble without a clear path to profitability. If they genuinely believed Meghan's brand could become the next Goop or Skims, they would have backed it with substantial capital. But they did not. They barely funded the initial production run, and now they've completely withdrawn their support. If Netflix isn't willing to invest, who will? Meghan is now frantically attempting to secure new partners, fashion designers, private investors, licensing companies, anyone willing to take a chance on her name. But every door she approaches will pose the same fundamental question: what is the potential upside? And currently, finding one is incredibly challenging. The initial allure has faded. Public sentiment has shifted. She is confronting a harsh, undeniable truth. Her name alone no longer carries the influence it once did. Too many controversies, too many unflattering headlines, and insufficient, genuine success. In the cutthroat world of fashion and business, reputation is currency. Once that is lost, you are merely another personality attempting to sell overpriced candles. The larger, more unsettling question now is what occurs when the funds truly run dry. Harry is not poised to inherit substantial wealth anytime soon, especially if King Charles remains resolute. And without significant new deals, their cash flow appears perilously thin. Factor in taxes, advisors, and the escalating legal expenses. From their ongoing skirmishes with the tabloids, and the situation rapidly becomes bleak. There is already talk of desperation, of manufactured PR maneuvers, of rushed brand pivots, and an increasingly obvious reality that the empire they so vividly envisioned is collapsing before it ever truly began. Lady Colin Campbell's blunt assessment, "Meghan is toast," is not merely a mean-spirited remark. It's a chilling reflection of the brutal nature of the celebrity ecosystem when it turns on an individual. One failed launch, one damaging headline, and opportunities vanish with astonishing speed. The irony is excruciating. They once commanded global sympathy. They departed from royalty with a once-in-a-generation media spotlight. Yet, instead of quietly and strategically building something sustainable, they directly pursued superstardom, without the foundational work to support it. Now, they are left juggling fragile PR distractions, half-finished brands, and dwindling credibility. It's no longer solely about public opinion. It's about raw, unvarnished survival. And unless something drastic, something truly unprecedented, changes, Meghan and Harry might very well become the first royals to spectacularly succumb to their own financial overreach. The unrelenting burden of legal battles, the current strain on their finances is significantly worsened by the continuous legal battles they are waging. Defamation lawsuits, privacy injunctions, and ongoing skirmishes with the media are not merely public relations headaches. They constitute an enormous drain on their already stretched resources. High-profile legal teams, extensive discovery processes, and potential settlements or damages can quickly accumulate into millions of dollars. While they may have initially hoped these legal actions would silence critics or safeguard their image, they have instead become a persistent financial bleed. Every legal letter, every court appearance, erodes their remaining capital, transforming their pursuit of privacy into a costly and ultimately self-defeating exercise. It is a luxury they simply cannot afford, particularly when their income streams are unpredictable and their spending habits remain unchecked. Questionable ventures and diminished appeal. Their desperate pursuit of income has also led them into increasingly questionable ventures. Whispers suggest they have explored everything from reality television pitches to lucrative speaking engagements at dubious conferences. These are not the characteristics of an established, financially secure brand. They are the actions of individuals, scrambling for quick cash. The allure of their royal titles, once a unique selling point, is diminishing with each misstep. Corporations and event organizers are becoming more cautious about associating with them, fearing the potential for negative publicity or a lack of tangible return on investment. The brand that was once synonymous with prestige and global appeal is now more closely linked to controversy and financial instability, making it increasingly difficult to secure the kind of high-paying, long-term partnerships they desperately need. Eroding public support and royal isolation. The erosion of their once loyal fan base is another critical factor. While they still attract some attention, the widespread public support they enjoyed after stepping back from royal duties has significantly diminished. This extends beyond mere tabloid headlines. It signifies a loss of trust and connection with the very audience they need to engage for any commercial success. When the public feels exploited, misled, or simply weary of the drama, they cease purchasing books, streaming content, or engaging with lifestyle brands. The carefully crafted image of relatability and genuine intention has been replaced by a perception of calculated self-interest, leaving them with a smaller, more fragmented audience less inclined to open their wallets. This diminished public goodwill directly impacts their earning potential, as potential partners observe a declining return on investment from aligning with their brand. Furthermore, their self-imposed isolation from the established royal family has become a significant financial impediment. While they desired independence, they simultaneously severed ties with a vast network of patronage, resources, and institutional support that could have provided a safety net. The royal family, despite its complexities, offers a secure platform for charitable work, official engagements, and traditional income streams that are not subject to the vagaries of the commercial market. By cutting these ties, they have placed themselves in a precarious position, entirely dependent on their own commercial endeavors. King Charles's consistent refusal to offer financial aid underscores this isolation, reinforcing the idea that they are truly on their own, with no royal safety net to cushion their fall. Ultimately, the narrative of Meghan and Harry's financial struggles serves as a cautionary tale regarding the perils of misjudging fame and fortune. They possessed an unprecedented opportunity to leverage their unique position for long-term, sustainable success. Instead, they opted for a high-risk, high-reward strategy that prioritized immediate gratification and a lavish lifestyle over meticulous planning and strategic brand building. Their story serves as a stark reminder that even with immense global recognition and a once powerful platform, financial stability requires more than just headlines and ambition. It demands disciplined management, genuine connection, and a realistic understanding of one's own limitations in a brutally competitive world.